How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to our Nexus dashboard series. And as you can tell by our topology, I have everything stood up. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be getting DC2 stood up, which is over here. We're going to get DC2 stood up. I'm going to add all 4 switches to the fabric. We're going to set the roles, do the reloads, all that good stuff. And then once that's all done, we're going to go through and get the VRF configured. We're going to get the network set up. We're going to go to the interface level, get everything squared away. I've already got the servers ready to go because they're configured. And then what I'm about to do, once I get that done, that shouldn't take too terribly long to do. What I will do then is jump on the Nexus 12 and we'll get a external link connected to CSR 30 and get that all squared away. Once that's done and CSR 30 is learning routes, that'll wrap this video. In the next video, I'm going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time getting the CAT-AKVs up here and this MPLS VPN environment IP addressed, and then I'm going to do the configuration for an MPLS VPN. We'll get that all stood up and configured, and then we'll get these 2 sites to start talking to one another, and that'll be pretty much the end. That'll be at least the heavy lifting pieces that you need to worry about. And at that point in time, I'll have covered everything that I want to inside of Nexus Dashboard up to this point. So if there's anything you want to see covered that I don't have already taken care of, I'm going to be trying to do some additional testing in a much smaller environment. See if I can't get a multi-site working, a multi-site operation working. And I've tried doing it. That's one of the reasons why I don't have it set up here already, is because I haven't been able to successfully deploy it in NDFC and stuff like that. But this is going to be just a high level bits. There's service insertion with firewalls and stuff like that, but because I don't have dedicated firewalls and capabilities and stuff like that, it makes it much more difficult to get this thing operational. So I'm not going to be diving into service insertion or anything like that. It'll just be the basic configuration as you see it right now. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and log into dashboard here, and we'll go ahead and get this party started. It'll take a couple of minutes for us to get all the switches. We're going to have to create a couple additional fabrics. I'm going to say create fabric. So the first thing we have to do is create the new fabric, so DC2, and we're going to create, this is just going to be your standard data center VXLAN ABPN fabric. Select that, and we're going to choose a 65002, and I'll leave them. So a couple of scenarios come into play here. So the MAC address, in the event that you were going to do an actual multi-site deployment, you'd want to make sure that the Anycast gateway MAC stays the same. So in the event that you stretch a VLAN between 2 different data centers, you got DC1 here, DC2 here. What'll end up happening is, if you stretch a VLAN between both data centers, you're going to want to use the same Anycast gateway MAC. We're not doing that here, so you could theoretically have them both different, and you would be just fine. Now, in the event that you want to migrate to a border gateway design and use multi-site, then you'd have to update that, and that can be kind of a pain in the butt. So just to make sure that we don't run into that problem down the road, that is essentially what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way. We're going to click on save, and then we're going to get the rest of the config in play. I'm going to go ahead and create another fabric. This will be DC2 iOS XE external fabric, and we're going to go all the way down to the bottom, select that one. This will be 65012, and we're going to go ahead and save that. So on DC2, we're going to dive into it. On switches, we're going to go ahead and add switches. This one here is going to be 10.255.1.99 through 100. And then we should be able to do 10.255.110. Oh, you know what? It's going to let me do. Well, let me do. Actually, I can do this. I'm going to do max hops. I'm going to set it to 2, so it should be able to find them all. We'll do NDFC, and we're going to not preserve the config. So I'm going to show you just slightly different variation of it because I have a bunch of IP addresses that are different. So I'm going to go ahead and click Discover Switches, and this is going to take a little bit longer because of the fact that you're going to have to do go through a couple of hops. So it's going to look for anything in the basically anything in the 10.255.1 range to see what it can find. So, all right. So before adding switches, make sure to add the route for in this. Switch management interface under Nexus dashboard infrastructure cluster configure routes management network routes. So what it's basically saying is it's found a bunch of devices. So let's go ahead and just go this to 25. So it's found Nexus 9K9, and we can't manage this one because Nexus 7 because it's already managed in DC1. I'm going to come down here a little bit further, and I'm finding N10. N10 is not reachable. So let me go double check N10. Oh, okay. I see what happened. So it found N12 not reachable. Okay, so okay, that's what ends up happening. So I'll go ahead and just add that switch to it. It does see 10, 11, and 12, but because their IP addresses are 111 and 112, it's not able to find it. So I'm going to go ahead and just say add switches here. And it's going to go ahead and start doing Nexus 9K9. Or Nexus 9 here. We'll see that it's going to pull them in, and I will go through and do this in a couple of different batches if I have to. No big deal. So we're going to let it, actually I'm going to let it do that, and then once it does, the status bar is fully populated, I'll go ahead and get the additional ones configured because this one is set to 110. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay. So interface management, I didn't catch that before. 0 IP address here would be 10.255.1.110.0/24, and I'll save that config. So Nexus 9K9 will come online, and we can see that that's done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click back. And then I will do 110 through 112, and I'll go ahead and say discover switches, confirm. It should be able to find those guys now. So it should be able to find 110, 111, 112, which is going to be Nexus 10, 11, and 12. So we'll give that a couple seconds, and for some reason Nexus 12 is not reachable now. Kind of funny. Let me go back over here and see what the deal is. Ah! IP address is wrong. Interface management 0. IP address here would be 10.255.1.112/24. Save that config. And then we'll have to basically just redo that again. So back, and then we'll say discover switches. Run it one more time. We just want to make sure that we capture all the switches. There they go, they're all manageable. I'm going to grab these guys and say add switches. And you could, if you wanted to, add them individually if you wanted to as well, if you're in an environment there where you can't take them all down at one time or what have you. But in this case here we can. So we can see Nexus 9 is going to start rebooting and go from there. So I'm just going to mute myself until the process is complete. Alright, so every once in a while you run into an issue where the CLI gets hung, and even though it says it's going to do the reset, it doesn't actually do the reboot. So and it looks like 10 and 11 might be stuck too. So I'm going to give them a little bit more time, but I'm going to come over here to 9. I'm going to stop the switch, and that will trigger this. So I'm going to close this one out. And so it's taking a little bit. Eventually this will power itself off. So what I'm going to do, instead of keeping the video play and just be muted, I'm going to mute until I'm going to pause until I get all the switches rebooted and online, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so all of our switches are now added to the environment and everything's looking pretty good. So the first thing we're going to have to do now that the switches are brought online is we're going to have to set the roles. So we know that 10 and 11 are going to be leafs. So we're going to go ahead and modify that. And then 12 is going to be a border. Just like that. Okay, so now that that's in place, we're going to go ahead and say actions, recalculate and deploy. And after a couple of moments, we will generate the config and we'll be able to stand these switches up and we'll be in good shape. So I am going to quick pause until we're at that point. Alright, so the configuration is now posted up. We can do a quick spot check. We can see 505 lines. We're going to see is going to be a spine, or sorry, a leaf switch. Well, you know, the Nexus 9K is going to have probably the least amount of lines because he is a spine. So we have that. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on deploy all, and we'll be in good shape once that process is executed. This usually takes a couple of minutes for all the configs to get pushed, and then once we are there, we'll be in good shape. Now, while that actually is doing its thing, I'm going to what ended up happening, you guys didn't see it because it was a very long pause, several hours as a matter of fact. When I brought these new switches online, you might remember a brief pause in the reboot process. Well, what ended up actually happening is I had another topology running at the same time, and it actually froze the server. So I ended up having to actually reboot the entire server, and all of this is getting rebooted. There's a few things that I haven't rebooted yet because I wanted to focus on getting this fabric online. So that happened. So there will be some things that won't work right away. I'm going to fix them between now and the next video. But we're going to add CSR 30, get him squared away, get him added to a fabric. In a previous video, I was not able to get Cat AK16 added to the fabric. So if I just click on close, it's still going to be working in the background. But if I close this out and go over here, I'm going to have Cat AK16 is now added. So rebooting it fixed the issue that I was running into before. So we're good to go there. So that is basically where we are operationally right now. So we should be in pretty good shape here momentarily once the switches are online. So once the configuration is done and they switch from they're operational. As a matter of fact, we can do a quick spot check here too as to where we're at operationally. We see a lot of stuff is coming through. 11 and 12 and 9. So that is basically where we sit. So I'm just going to wait patiently for this to. We can't look at a. I kind of wish there was a events at the bottom here to where we could look. There is some events analytics you can look at, but you once you've gotten these configured, or once you push the config, there's no way to, and you close out of its progress, there's no way that I'm aware of to go back in. So there's recent tasks, right? But we can see that config deploy is, we can go back over here to switches and the configuration is pending. So until this is updated and ready to go, we're going to be kind of in a holding pattern. While we're in a holding pattern, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to bring on CSR 30, get him all booted up, and ready to go, and then we're going to join him to another fabric. So I'm going to go do that, and then we'll get kicked off for the rest of this. Alright, so I've gotten some additional stuff configured here. So if we were to pull over, see, it's switch 21, do show IP route. Yeah, so I've got my additional routes coming through. I know that's being advertised. Everything else is looking pretty good. What I'm going to go do is on CSR 30, we're going to do a quick show run here. And so what I want to do is turn this config off. So no service config. I don't want any of this garbage showing up. If you paste this command in globally, you should stop receiving any of that stuff. And then what I want to do is I want to, let me just double check, make sure there's a do show run section user. Okay, everything should be there. So let me go over here to this guy here. Our configurations are in sync now, which is what we want to see. I'm going to go ahead and close this guy out. I'm going to go to DC2. I'm going to go ahead and add that switches, add switches. This is going to be 10.255.1.30. And then we're going to use iOS XE, Cat 8K, and then we're going to use NDFC discover switches. It should discover the connection timed out. Okay, so let's do a quick do show run section line. Okay. Do show IP interface brief. Okay, so I had the same problem the last time. It's connection device to device timed out. Login local transport input SSH. So that should theoretically work. So that is why. Let's double check real quick, make sure that do that. Let's go ahead and discover switches now. Device connection to device timed out. Interesting. So this is what I'll do. I will do a quick ping, do show ARP. So I can clearly talk to it, which is what I'm looking for. So it's a do ping 10.255.1.11. I can talk to Nexus dashboard. So let's do a show run section user. I'm so used to Nexus. I'm going to say no this guy, just because of the fact that I want to make sure that I'll type in username is NDFC, privilege level 15, secret is password, and we'll see what ends up happening. Now this is when we see this connection to device timed out, that usually indicates that there's a problem talking to the box, not an authentication failure. So let me go back here and make sure the password's correct, IP address is correct. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and so that's going to be a problem, because that's going to be how we connect these two fabrics together. So that's kind of a deal breaker for me at the moment with what I've got going on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll save the config, even though you guys can't see it. So I will have to troubleshoot that and see what the deal is. Maybe I just delete the configuration and start over again. Not exactly sure here. Edit. Management cloud. Yeah, so it's definitely, so I know communication's there, but for whatever reason, let me go ahead and part of me wants to figure this out. Connection 22. So it should have SSH enabled. Let me go ahead and oh, you know what? I think I know what the problem is. So let's do a do show IP SSH. Aha! That's the problem. Because I was like, wait a minute. Because I remember Cat 8K, it automatically installs. If we do a do show IP SSH is enabled on this guy. So that's the problem. So we have to create the. So we have to create the. IP domain dash name is going to be ndfc.local, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say crypto key generate RSA, and we're going to come in here, modulus is going to be 1024. SSH has been enabled, so that's what the okay. So I forgot about that. I'm so used to dealing with switches that or devices that automatically turn SSH on as soon as you create them. Nexus, the newer versions of Catalyst 8K and 9K, they do it automatically, so I don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead and try this one more time. We're going to go back. We're going to rediscover switches. A little bit longer, which is a good sign. There it goes. Perfect. So add switches. That was the problem. Okay. So I forgot that this is not a Cat 8KV. This is a CSR 1000V. So you have to turn SSH on. So fortunately, I know how to do that. So that's the caveat there. You know, it is what it is. So now that that's there, I'll be able to wrap this config up here momentarily. So add switches, switches added, close. That's a good sign. So now I'll be able to close this guy out, and I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to use the ASN of 65,012. So I'm going to type in router BGP 65,012. No BGP default IPv4, so I'm not going to automatically form an IPv4 unicast peering. I am going to say do show IP interface brief, and I'm going to go over to Nexus 12 first on DC2, and I'm going to create a link. So links, I'm going to create a link, create one. It's going to be interfabric, and the source fabric is DC2, the destination fabric is going to be DC2 external. Select device is going to be N12, destination device CSR30. The interface that I'm going to be tying this to is going to be E114. Like that. The interface on the remote end is going to be gig1. Just like that. Source AS number, destination AS number, source IP. In this case here it's going to be 10.12.30.1/30, and then 10.12.30.2. And I'm going to go ahead and click on save. And then, so that's been configured, right? Next thing I got to go do is underneath the VRF, I have to create a VRF. So I'm going to create the VRF by going create. And this is going to be DC2-VRF-prod. The VRF ID for this guy here is going to be 70. Could be the same as the other side. The VLAN is going to be 70. As I didn't make any adjustments here. I propose it's going to do 2000. I'll put a 70 in here just because it makes sense. The VRF VLAN name is going to be L3_VNI. And the advanced, nothing here that I'm going to go take these two off. I can always come back at a later point and do them. So now that's been created. I need to go ahead and click on this first, dig into it, and I need to do my attachments. I'm going to attach this to this guy first because I want to get connectivity to the outside world before I do anything. I'm going to say actions. I'm going to say quick attach. It's going to go ahead and put VLAN 70 in there. I'm going to go ahead and go to networks. There's no networks that I need to map, but underneath the VRF attachments, I need to go ahead and say edit, and I'm sorry, not here. It is going to be under here. So I'm going to go ahead and edit. No, it's, where does that go? Well, I get it. Sorry, I got to go to. Excuse me. I'm at the DC level. I need to go to the switch level. So underneath switches, under Nexus 12, I need to go underneath the VRF, and then underneath here, I can click on here and VRF attachments, click here, go actions, edit, and then I can go ahead and extend it, because you have to be at the switch level to do an extension. VRF light, come down here at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and attach all, and I'm going to go ahead and click on save, and then I'm going to go ahead and say actions, deploy. So 46 lines, we're going to create the profile, the layer 3 BNI, the VRF context, the SBI, configure the BGP peering, and do all of this. I just wanted to make sure I had all that configuration good to go before I made any changes. I'm going to go ahead and deploy that. I'm going to jump back over here to the topology, and for CSR 30, I'm going to go to interface gig 1, no shut it. And then we're going to go interface gig 1.70. Encapsulation .1q is 2. IP address here is going to be 10.12.30.2/30. And then I'm going to go underneath router BGP 65012, neighbor of 10.12.30.1, remote AS 65002, address family IPv4, and then we're going to activate the peering. And I'm going to patiently wait on over here. Deployment is complete. Close that out. And my BGP peering just came up. So do show BGP IPv4 unicast summary. We can see that it's up. Everybody's happy. Now that that's good to go, the next stage I'm going to go to is I'm going to go back out one. And I'm going to go to VRFs. I'm going to click on the VRF. Dig into it. I'm going to say VRF attachments, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this to N1011. Say actions, quick attach. Can use VLAN 70 for that, and then I'm going to go ahead and say on these two here, actions, deploy, and they're going to do the exact same thing, right? All I did was just fast forward to I wanted to bring up the external connectivity. So this is going to push to the VRF. The VRF config will get pushed, and then I'll be able to create my networks. And so while that's working, I'm going to go over here to my networks. I'm going to create a network. And my networks here are going to be VLAN 10, 10.2.10, DC2, all that good stuff that goes along with it. So this is just going to be DC2-VLAN 10. This is the network ID for this guy here is going to be, I don't remember what I gave it over on the other side. So just to double quick check that, I'm going to go to N3. We're going to log into Nexus 3, and then we're going to do show VLAN brief. We can see that we gave VLAN 10. We do a show run VLAN 10. We can see that we gave it, oh, that's right, show run profile, show profile, show run section profile, segment 2, okay, 2000 VLAN 10, that's fine. I'll do the same thing. I'll just give it 2000. This will be VLAN 10. And then this guy here will be 10.2.10.1/24. This will be DC2 VLAN 10. And that's all we need to do there. Underneath advanced, we're not going to do anything spectacular here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on create. And I'm going to do actions, create one more time. This one here will be DC2-VLAN 11. This will be 2001 VLAN 11. This will be 10.2.11.1/24. And the network name here is going to be the same as the VLAN name. We're going to go ahead and create. And now I get to go take that a step further. I get to go underneath the VRFs, underneath here, dive into that. VRF attachments, they're attached. Now I just need to go ahead on the networks. I need to come over here and as a quick multi-attach to, I'm just going to go ahead and apply it to all of them. Next. I'm not going to do any interface level configs right now. I'm just going to go click next and then save. And then we can see that even 12 is going to get them, even though it technically doesn't need them, it's still going to get them. So, and what I mean by that is you can actually deploy your borders as layer 3 VNI, that's it. And you can just have them as routed unless you have a specific reason to attach. Because I don't think on 7, let me just double check 7 real quick. I don't think I have any show VLAN brief. Yeah, see on 7, I don't have any VLANs pushed to the border. I only have the layer 3 VNI because all I need the border to do is route into and out of, I should say, out of and into the fabric. So if you have a requirement where you're going to have devices like endpoints actually wired to your border, then it would make sense to push VLANs, but you don't need to do that. It's not a requirement. So I'm going to go back over here and finish this config. I'm just going to push it just so you guys can see what it would look like to do that. So that process is there, and once that's done, which is that fast, what I will go do is I will back out of here, and then I will go to the switches tab, and then I will look at what I've got configured. So we've got on 10, we've got 11 and 10 and 11 on both. So a quick little config change here on, so we're dealing with 10. I'll do 10 first. So let's there we go. I will do 10. We'll dive into him. And then I'll say interfaces. The interfaces I'm dealing with are going to be 1 and 2. So 1 is odd, and that actually makes a lot of sense. So E11, I'm going to say is going to be actions, edit. This will be an access host. Select. No for the BPDU guard. MTU is going to be the default. Access VLAN is going to be 11. And that's all I need to worry about there. I'm going to click on save for that and close that out. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for, because I think on this side here it's the same way. Yeah. So I can create these first. Go ahead and actions, edit. Make this an access host. Select no. MTU is default. VLAN 10. And then I can click on save. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab these two interfaces here. I'm going to go actions, more, export. And then now it's been exported. I'll be able to open this up. And what I'll have to do is I'll have to change up some variables, but for right now that's good enough. And what I'll have to do when I close this guy out is for N11, dig into him, go to interfaces, and I want to update this. So what I have to do, actually let me back up one. Close this guy out. I need to capture this variable right here, the serial number. And what I need to do for this config, in order for this to work, go ahead and pull this down, is I need to swap out the serial number for the device that I'm going to be modifying. So I need to just change out YTI for HKX. And I'm going to do that just by grabbing this information right here. And then I'm going to paste this right here. Right there. And that's all I'm really going to have to do. I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to say Browse. This is going to be N11 updated. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Close that out. Go to N11. Dive into him. Go to interfaces. Say actions, more import. And then I'm going to do N11 updated, open. Click on OK. It's going to read the file and it's going to update these. I've now switched to serial number combination. Oh, did I not do that right? Oh. That and this. My bad. I forgot about that. Okay, let's try this one more time. Actions, more import. Grab this, open. Okay. It'll validate, and then these two interfaces should get updated. Just like that. So I'm going to go back to the DC level. I'm going to say actions, recalculate and deploy. And then in a matter of a moment or two, we should see the config get updated where we're just going to be making modifications to the interfaces as we see them. Click on close, deploy all. Alright, and then that should wrap us up for what we need to do in this configuration. And then there we go. So they're in sync. We come back over here and we go to N12, which is way over here. I'm going to go ahead and say admin, show MAC address table dynamic. We should see stuff coming from 10.3.0.2 and 3. We see the MAC address is being propagated and everything else is looking pretty good. If we go to CSR 30 and I hit the up arrow, I'm receiving 2 routes and I'm pulling in 10.2, 10, and 11, which is what I want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and save that config. So the last stage for us to do, which I'm not going to be doing in this video because I need to spend a little bit of time bringing some other stuff online, is I'm going to do the MPLS VPN here. This is going to take, I'm going to do this in the next video. I'm going to get it IP addressed first, and then I'm going to walk you through the configuration of setting up the MPLS VPN, which is going to extend DC1 and DC2 to talk to each other. That is the goal. Now, one of the other plans that I have is I do want to test out some other variations of doing multi-site, meaning there's some other configuration tests that I want to do. So I do have the intention of adding a border gateway at each site, adding it to the existing fabric, making it a border gateway, and then connecting it to one of these switches, these routers here as a DCI circuit, and seeing if I can't make something happen. I don't know if it's going to work or not. That is yet to be determined. So I've got some documentation reading to do and some testing. The other thing that I want to do beyond what we've got going on here is I want to connect the firewalls to the borders and have them connected so that we can try some service type of configuration. If you're not sure how that would work, you'd close this out, you'd come over here to services, and then you'd have to go to actions, add, and you come in here and go like, we'll say service node name is going to be firewall 1, for example. And you would say firewall physical, which fabric is it going to connect to? It's going to connect to this fabric apparently. And then we're going to go and service node interface. Let's say, for example, I think they are, I don't have either one of them fired up. I think they are ETH1 is what they are configured as. So I would do like ETH 1/1, and then the attached switch I'm going to connect to 7, and then the attached switch interface I would do like 11. Yeah, I can't. I don't think it's gonna let me manually type it in. Yeah, you have to like. Oh, you know why? Because that's not attached. Interesting. Let me close this one out. Why did it grab 3? attached switch. Interesting. I do know that that's supposed to be the way that it works. No options. External fabric. Oh, that's kind of weird. Anyway, I'm going to have to play around with this because this is where it gets a little interesting. So I technically do want to join it to N7 and attach to that interface. But this is where it gets a little interesting. It's like, okay, which external fabric can I do? Virtual? Does it change anything? Firewall, virtual networking function. Yeah, it's like it's only external fabric. Attached fabric, DC1. Oh, wait. So this is where it gets interesting because it's like I don't know. Attached switch will be 7 because it's a border. Attached switch. I don't know why it's not populating anything. And then once you have once you have an interface attached, you can select the template you want to map it to. But I don't know why this isn't going. Because what I normally would do is I would have a device attached. So what I'm going to do, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to take one of these Palos, and then I'm going to join the management interface to this guy, and we'll go management. I'm not going to do a full rollout of this in this video. I'm just going to have it set up for testing. So I'm going to do E11 is fine, E111 here, save. And then what I'm going to do, I'll come back to this once I have everything rolled out, but my goal is to try to attempt to connect these two together. And as far as I know, this last time I tried it, it didn't work because I wasn't able to go underneath this, under fabrics, say create a fabric, and say firewall external. Choose fabric. It's going to be external connectivity. And then we're going to go give this 65013 and click fabric monitor mode, save. So my goal here would be to come underneath here, and then I would add switches like this, but you'll notice the device type is going to be other. So whenever I've added the IP address of the device or the name and played around with any of these variables, it's never worked. So I'm going to try it again, but after I've got MPLS deployed and we've got everything else working. So we'll take care of that in the next video. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch all of you in the next video.